Do 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 do. Josh's Order Corner.
That's me. All right, so you get me in this gross tank top. I don't feel like changing, and I went on a bike ride today. So, one thing that you might not know is I read a lot. I love to read. Um, I'm at 28 books so far this year. The last book I read was Lonesome Dove, which was phenomenal. It's a phenomenal book. I can't believe it took me so long to read it, but it's very long. So it was very heavy read. Took me a while to complete. And that was the last book I read before this one. This is called Kin. It is by Kealan Patrick Burke, which I assume I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hopefully I am. A little bit about the author first. It says, born and raised in Ireland, Kealan Patrick Burke is the Bram Stoker award-winning author of 5 novels, over 100 short stories, 3 collections, and editor of 4 acclaimed anthologies. He's worked as a waiter, a drama teacher, a map maker, a security guard, an assembly line worker at Apple Computers, a salesman for a day, a bartender, landscaper, vocalist in a grunge band, and most recently, a fraud investigator. He also played the male lead in Slime City Massacre, which was a sequel to cult B movie classic Slime City. When not writing, he designs covers for print and digital books through his company, Elder Lemon Design. So, I had this book. It was recommended in some different horror groups that I'm in, and I decided to check it out and see for myself what the fuss was all about. It's called Kin. On a scorching hot summer day in Elkwood, Alabama, Claire Lambert staggers naked, wounded, and half blind away from the scene of an atrocity. She is the sole survivor of a nightmare that claimed her friends, and even as she prays for rescue, the killers, a family of cannibalistic lunatics, are closing in. A soldier suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder returns from Iraq to the news that his brother is among the murdered in Elkwood. In snowbound Detroit, a waitress trapped in an abusive relationship gets an unexpected visit that will lead to bloodshed and send her back on the road to a past she has spent years trying to outrun. And Claire, the only survivor of the Elkwood massacre, haunted by her dead friends, dreams of vengeance, a dream which will be realized as grief and rage turn good people into cold-blooded murderers and force alliances among strangers. It's time to return to Elkwood. In the spirit of such classic horror classics, what? In the spirit of such iconic horror classics as Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Deliverance, Kin begins at the end and studies the possible aftermath for the survivors of such traumas upon their return to the real world. The guilt, the grief, the thirst for revenge, and sets them on an unthinkable journey back into the heart of darkness. The key to this little synopsis on the back is Kin begins at the end and studies the possible aftermath. That is something that I wish I would have really known beforehand, or understood that was a very accurate statement, because reading this, my frustrations really lied in the fact that it picks up after everything's said and done. It picks up after the massacre. Now, that sounds like a spoiler, but since it's on the back of the book, I don't feel bad giving it, and I will do my best not to give any other spoilers. But I feel like that was kind of an injustice to the story because you didn't get to fall in love with the characters. When it says, in the spirit of such iconic horror classics as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's very accurate. It does have a nice kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel, but with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you followed the victims for so long that you became aware of who they were. You had a connection with them. You had that hope that they'll survive. In this book, you lose that experience. And I feel like it made it difficult to care about Claire, who, again, not a spoiler, it's written on the back of the book. It made it difficult to care about Claire and hope for her survival and her justice. Had the book had that connection to him in the beginning, I truly think I would have enjoyed it more. It was kind of difficult to get through. I'm going to be honest here. This was 268 pages, and normally a book like this I will speed right through. I'm going to take a look at Goodreads here. my books. I started this book on August 21st. It is August 30th, and that is a longer amount of time than it would normally take to finish something like that. I And just a note on the characters, like on the back here where it mentions Claire, it mentions the waitress trapped in Detroit, the soldier suffering from PTSD. The soldier was kind of just like a splash in the pan, like didn't really amount to much of a character, which was disappointing. I really felt like this could be the redemption. This could be the character that we fall in love with and saves the story. The Just the usual Southern folks are dumb kind of jokes and jabs like that have been done a billion times before are rampant in this book. You just get that backwoods cliche storyline, and that kind of bummed me out. Like it would have been cool for there to be something new played on that. Like these Elkwood, Alabama folks aren't necessarily just hillbilly inbreds. Like it was a bummer that it played off of that kind of overdone mentality. I would recommend it to horror fans, but only patient ones. Patient ones. If you're a patient horror fan and you want to read something that does kind of give you Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, I would say more so Wrong Turn, the remake vibes. Uh, 2019, 2018, I don't remember when that came out. It was a great movie. I loved it. I would say that this book really kind of follows that kind of storyline that you saw in Wrong Turn, and I didn't love it. It wasn't for me. I would say right now it is on Goodreads with 4 out of 5 stars. I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars because, like I said, it really was a dry one for me. Now, in the horror groups I'm in, I've seen people rant and rave about how awesome this book was. So, my opinion isn't everybody's opinion. If you've read this, I want to hear your opinion on it. If you want to check it out, it's on Amazon. Look up the author, Kealan Patrick Burke. I'm sure, I mean, as it said in the back there in the About Me or the About the Author section, he has plenty of other books available, so it's worth checking out. It just wasn't for me. Like it just was not for me. Now I may do more little book talks here on YouTube. I want to keep it something that you'll give a shit about. I know that Lonesome Dove probably wasn't something you'd come to Josh's Horror Corner for a conversation on, but this one right here, if, as a horror fan, if you are a horror fan, this book is up your alley. But again, expect it to be a little dry, a little slow, and don't expect to fall in love with the characters. Till next time.
Do 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 do.